What's up, guys? Welcome back to JodabeniTV. Today's another amazing day to get out there, and we're going to be better today than we were yesterday. And for today's video, we're going to be looking at Matt Sheldon explains his 20 tips for anybody that's new or who wants to continue with their soccer journey. Taking a look at actually Matt Sheldon. If you don't know who Matt Sheldon is, he plays in the USL Championship with Hartford Athletic, and he's the OG of YouTube.
Okay, I pull up and she jump into the passenger. Yeah, she know I got the money trying to gas me up. Trying to stack it up, baby, back it up. Shawty sipping on the bottle and she act.
I've been playing professional football for the last 8 or 9 years, and over that time, I've learned a lot. And this video is going to be like an accumulation of 20 tips that I wish I could have told my 21-year-old self when I was breaking into the professional game. And these tips range from everything from training tips to stuff that has helped me in the game, to nutrition, to workouts, to just general life and tips about how to succeed in anything. And hopefully these things will really help you guys. Number one is like the golden rule, but it's just be a good person and treat everybody with respect. It really is a small world and everybody's connected to somebody else. And especially in the football community, it's an even smaller world. If you're a prick or you're pissing people off or people just don't think that you're a good person, it's going to be a lot harder to break into the pro game because the pro game is built so much off of connections. You want as many people, old coaches, old teammates, old friends, old whoever, helping you on your side, really pushing for you and trying to connect you with opportunities to sign that first pro contract. Pretty much every single opportunity that I've gotten at the professional level has come from an old teammate, an old coach, or an agent that I was connected with through an old coach or an old teammate. So at the end of the
Another thing you can add on top of that is actually building your social media platform. And I've gotten a lot of soccer opportunities solely because I had a YouTube channel. I was very, vibrant. I exposed myself in a field where a lot of players actually don't. There's a lot of professional players even now that have no social media presence. So the moment they lose their contract, they start trying to go to other teams. Nobody knows who they are. And luckily, even when I came to my university, my coaches were subscribed to my YouTube channel, which was, I didn't even think they would know who I was, but they actually knew who I was before I got there. So whatever I was showing on YouTube, if it was bad content or negative and they didn't like what I presented online, they would have just got rid of me. And he mentioned how people he knew from his academies, old coaches, all of those are valuable assets and communications that you should keep in contact.
When it's all said and done, just treat everybody with respect and just be a good person. Tip number 2, a good first touch. Picking up your head and having a calm demeanor will freeze defenders and in turn massively slow down the game for you. And the reason for this is because a bad touch or a player staring straight down at his feet or someone who looks visibly nervous are all pressing triggers for that defender. So if you ever feel like the game's moving way too fast or you have zero time, focus on those 3 things. Tip number 3.
And the biggest way to fix that timing is you gotta master your first touch. It's crazy how a good touch can literally change how much time you have. It may take you 3 seconds to find a pass, but if you have a good touch, it can only take you 1. And most of the times you don't even need to look down to control the ball. You just keep looking up, you time it, you control it, you give the ball to the next person, and it keeps you ahead of the game actually.
Career will be an amazing roller coaster ride of absolutely incredible highs and devastatingly difficult lows. Learn to enjoy the highs, but realize those moments are fleeting. But also learn to endure the dark periods because those moments as well are fleeting. And understand that the only people that get hurt on the roller coaster are those that jump off.
Almost everybody in the game gets hurt, and some people take it way worse than they should. Some people get depressed. They feel like they can never go pro again, or that's the end of their career. And there are some of us who get injured and I'll come back harder. And looking back in the past, honestly, I don't regret any of those moments. I enjoyed all the recovery sessions, all the times that I had to go for the trainers for massages, stretches. Honestly, it's just part of the game, and you just just learn to love it. So don't hate yourself too much for getting injured or having these injuries slow you down.
Tip number 4, watch pros play the game. The more games that you watch, either in person or on TV or on YouTube or wherever, the more you subconsciously pick up. You can always take it one step further and study the game, and you can pause and predict the actions and focus on one player and really dive into the nitty-gritty of the game. But you can still learn by just enjoying the game, sitting back, relaxing, and just watching. Your subconscious mind picks up all the little movements and tendencies and just the way these pros play.
If anybody knows me in person, they know I am not big on watching soccer on television screens. In person, I love it. Like, I'm enjoying it. It's a blessing. Whenever I'm in person, I stay alert and actually can pay attention to the position, because the way I was taught was whenever you're watching games and you want to maximize how much you learn, look at the player that's playing your position and just follow him along the whole game. Whenever he has the ball, when he doesn't have the ball, what movements does he do depending on where the ball is on the field? That's why I love watching games in person. I stay engaged. But watching on TV screens, sometimes when I'm trying to study, it's hard because the player you may be watching may not even be on the screen right now. So you're just guessing, I wonder what he would be doing right now instead of seeing it live.
Tip number 5, having said all that, there's likely pros out there making millions of dollars a year who have made much, much worse mistakes than you ever will. So understand that you will never be perfect. Have a short-term memory and forget about that bad pass that you just made. You can analyze that decision or that bad pass over and over again tomorrow when you're watching film. But as for now, today, just be present in the game. Tip number 6, film your games or get the footage from your coach and analyze every single touch that you take, especially the bad ones. It's very...
Before he even says it, I don't even know what he's about to say, but anybody who's been struggling, trying to get better, we all have had to deal with bad touches. And the one thing you got to remember is when you do make a bad touch, a lot of the times it happens because before you even make the bad touch, you're thinking to yourself, oh man, they're passing it to me. You can't think to yourself that, hey, I'm about to make a bad pass or I'm about to make a bad touch, because whenever you think that, it actually comes into reality. I had to train myself to believe, like, just randomly before the ball even comes in, I'm gonna take a good touch. I'm gonna take a good touch. Instead of I'm gonna take a bad touch. I might take a bad touch, and boom, you make a bad touch. Another trick, just simple believing, confessing to yourself right before you get the ball. It's gonna help you tremendously.
Easy to just focus on your good plays or your highlights. It's very easy when you have a bad game to just ignore it, move on too quickly. But you grow and you really learn and develop from learning from your mistakes. And honestly, what pros do that separate them from the amateurs is that they just mess up less. Pros are just amateur footballers that make better decisions with the ball
100%.
more consistently at a faster pace. Analyze every single one of your mistakes so that you ultimately have less of them. Tip number 7.
100%. When I was playing with University of Texas in the Rio Grande Valley, we played against Houston Dynamo. When we played an MLS team, first team, you know, our mindset was something else. But when we played them, the only difference that we, at least in my opinion, that I experienced playing Houston Dynamo's first team versus college teams was the pace. Literally, they were moving the ball extremely fast. Us on the back line, this is all we were doing. Just the way the forwards were moving the ball, first touch, two touch, everything clean. And that was the one thing that I noticed that separated all of us from all of them. In general, everybody's giving clean passes. And in our side, we had some passes that weren't clean. Sometimes we had to take multiple touches to control a ball. They killed us that game, 3-0.
Don't overthink your diet. You know that an apple or broccoli or salmon or brown rice is healthy. And you know that a donut or a Snickers bar or a bag of chips is unhealthy. Just make majority of your food sources real food. Fruit, vegetables, legumes, lean sources of protein, dairy products if you're not lactose intolerant, and complex carbs. That's what a diet should look like for footballers for the vast majority of you. Tip number 8. Buy a journal and track everything. Track your workouts, track that John Terry cardio treadmill routine. Write down how you felt during training sessions or your games, write down your goals, just track everything, because what gets tracked gets improved. Tip number 9.
See, honestly, in my journey, I never tracked the things that I did. So this is an advice that you guys can take, because nobody told me to track my my schedule, my training habits. I never tracked it. I just, went off the top of my head. And it kind of makes sense because a lot of times when we would go train, I would burn a lot of minutes and hours just trying to think of what's the next thing we should do. And I'd ask one of the guys who's training with us, hey, what do you think we should do? And then they'd give their opinion. And then we'd try it. If we didn't like it, we'd try to think of something else. And there we probably just lost like 15 minutes.
9. Opportunities fall through all the time in the professional game. So have backups and have backups of your backups. If you have one team that's saying, yeah, we'll probably bring you into preseason, and you have another team that says, yeah, we're going to offer you a contract here soon, more often than not, one of those opportunities will fall through. And many times, both of those opportunities will fall through. Keep on looking for more opportunities, even if you're feeling like you're comfortable, even if you have plan A and plan B, keep on looking for plan C, D, E, F, G. Tip number 10.
Yeah, that is extremely important, what he just said right there. I don't know if you guys caught it, but no matter how good the offer seems, always have something planned behind, at least if it's in your budget. Right? One team can say they're very interested, and another team can say, maybe we're kind of interested. But if you put all your energy into the one that claimed that they were totally interested and they don't even pick you up, and you miss the second chance, you lost. But I would have put all my eggs in one basket. So go ahead, go try out for that first team. And then if they don't take you, you have the second one prepared, because these trials go by fast, especially when that window is open. You have to go to one trial, then go to the next one, and then go to the next one. And that window is like 2 months. Sometimes it's one for other people who are in college. You got to wait till the next December to go in. So you want to make sure you have your backup plans lined up next to each other one-on-one.
And train with players that are better than you. You can learn and improve by yourself, and you can learn and improve by training with players that are worse than you. But there's no substitute to training with players that are better than you and seeing firsthand what that next level looks like. You can directly compare every aspect of your game to those players and see what the difference is and what you need to work on to reach their level, to reach the next level. I feel like
if you can train with better players, train with them. Don't even train with players that are not better than you. When I train with players who are not better than me, it has to be the very last resort. I'll literally I'd rather train by myself than train with people who are going to bring bad quality of training that's going to hurt my game. So if you can always train with people who are better or at least the same level, go for it always. People who are, I won't say trash, but people who need a lot of work, that's not going to get you better. So be sure you're always focusing on players who are way better than you.
Like, I've improved my game every single year for the last 25 years straight. But the times in my life where I've improved the most, it's when I'm training with players who are at the next level. Tip number 11, make everything a competition in your head. Obviously, it's incredibly easy to make most things in training a competition because that's what the game is. But even for the little things like the pre-training rondos or the passing patterns or two-touch after training, make all of that an intense competition in your head and compete with others, even if they don't know that they're competing. Tip number 12, whether you like it or not, football is a business. Understand real quick that teams don't want to spend more money than they have to. You need to view yourself as a business asset and be confident with what you bring to the table for these clubs.
And that's just like what we mentioned before, where we said you want to make sure that you give your value to these coaches, these teams, whether that be with your social media presence, the context that you have. You want to make sure you capitalize on all of those assets, because at the end of the day, soccer is about money. And if you can bring more value to their team, they're more likely to select you than the other person.
And a little mini bonus tip here, you get more money by having more leverage. And you get more leverage as a player by coming off better and better seasons, or having multiple teams want you and getting into a sort of bidding war for you as a player. So going back to tip number 9, get more opportunities and get more teams interested in you. And that's only going to help increase your value as an asset. Tip number 13, whether it's your fitness, gym work, or on-field training, keep it simple. You don't need to have crazy complex drills or thousands of dollars of training equipment or fantastic facilities. There's a reason why this is the beautiful game and why some of the best players today have come from very humble beginnings. It's because
And a lot of people be complaining that they don't have the tools, they don't have the cleats, they don't have the soccer ball. Man, you know how many Walmart balls I went through? I'd go to Walmart, use a soccer ball. After like 2 months, they'd explode, get a new one. 2 months later, it explode, I get a new one. It was something in my budget. This high school kid can't afford a $200 Nike ball, but I can afford $10 soccer ball at Walmart. But I kept training. I kept training. I didn't even use that as an excuse. When I didn't have cones, I used my old cleats, old shoes. You lined it up, did those drills where I needed to.
Because you can improve your fitness or your strength or your technical ability with just a ball and a little bit of space. Going in your bedroom or your garage or your living room and doing push-ups, pull-ups, and squats will get you stronger. Juggling with the ball, doing some pickup games, and maybe just doing rondos will improve you as a footballer. And going out and doing whatever fitness regimen you want to do, mile runs, full field sprints, shuttle runs, whatever, and just pushing yourself to that limit until you're exhausted will get you more fit. You can always work to optimize your routine and optimize your training. But again, don't overthink it and don't get this paralysis by analysis because you have so many options and so many things to do. If you're ever feeling overwhelmed, keep it simple, revert back to the basics and just push yourself. Tip number.
I agree. And when you're training, you want to make sure you focus in on what you need, right? If you're a center back and you're always taking free kicks, when's the next time you're gonna take a free kick in a soccer game? But if you're a center back practicing 1v1s, oh yeah, everybody's gonna be able to notice you. Everybody's gonna be afraid of you. They'll be like, oh snap, it's that center back. He's crazy at it. But if you're always doing free kicks, it's not the move. So you want to focus on your part in the game. So do specific training for your specific position.
Number 14, so many stars need to align for you to sign that pro contract. There needs to be a need for your position. There needs to be some cohesion with your style and the style of play of the team. There needs to be money left in the budget. There needs to be housing available for you. You need to get the approval or the thumbs up from not just the coaches, but from multiple levels within the organization itself. There's just so many things that actually need to align and to work out for you to sign that contract. And it's much more complicated than just, are you good enough? So if an opportunity doesn't work out and you really truly feel like you're at the professional level, keep your head up and move on to the next opportunity with confidence. Tip number 15. Practically every single professional footballer out there in the game today, from the highest levels of professional football
100%.
all the way down to the lowest levels, has struggled with self-doubt, imposter syndrome.
Pay attention to what he's saying right now. Everybody has self-doubt. Even at the highest level, kids who are offing themselves because they didn't make the first team from their academy teams. Although they can go play professional in other countries and be completely fine, their lack of confidence has been eating them up to the point where the team cut them. They decided they don't want to live no more. And it's pretty sad, but we all go through this. No matter if you're Messi, goes through this as well. You see frustration in his head in some games, and it's just what makes us human.
Or confidence issues at some point in their career. So believe that you fully deserve to be where you are. Just keep on working hard, gaining experience, and keep on being patient. Those doubts in your head will fade over time. They'll never fully disappear, but they'll fade. Tip number 16, 8 hours of sleep, proper nutrition, and proper hydration makes up 99% of your recovery. Everything else, ice baths, cryotherapy, contrast baths, massage guns, massages, foam rolling, etc. All that stuff just fits in that top 1% cherry on top of your recovery. It can still help, but if you're spending time in the ice bath, or you're doing contrast baths or cryotherapy or foam rolling, or you're doing one of these things and you're coming off of 4 hours of sleep and you skipped dinner last night, you need to reevaluate how you approach your recovery. And honestly,
once you start college, it's hard to keep this. A lot of this you're gonna have to throw that out the window, because there will be nights, if you do an engineering major like I did, you want to get sleep, but if you want to pass, you're not going to bed. There's so many nights that I only had 5 or 4 hours of sleep. It wasn't healthy, but I needed those hours to study, right? I was full-time training. We'd go to the gym. And when you get out of school or after the afternoon training, there's not a lot of time. After you shower, you cook, you have like 2 hours before everybody starts going to bed. But as an engineering major, you got to stay up longer than everybody else and put more work to study into it.
You should stop doing that. Get a proper meal in you and go take a nap. Tip number 17. There's no such thing as the absolutely perfect gym routine or the absolutely perfect training regimen that you can do every single day or every single week for the rest of your career. I see so many players fixate on trying to find the optimal routine, but yet they never actually start that routine because it's not perfect yet. Don't get paralysis by analysis. Just dive in head first, learn as you go, make adjustments or tweaks along the way, and push yourself to the limit. And at the end of the day, changing things up, variety is good for both your body and your mind. Tip number 18. Every single player is different. Every single player responds differently to different training.
Whenever I go to the gym, I cannot lift heavy because I gain mass. I look like this dude. I look just like him. Whenever, if I were to lift every day, I would end up looking like this. But I know my body. So whenever I tell people, hey, I gotta drop the weight, they'll be like, come on, man. You're strong. You're swole. You should be able to lift 250 pounds. I know I can. But do I want to? No, because every time I gain too much muscle, I end up injuring myself in some sort of way.
Responds differently to different training. Every player's individual body needs different things. Every player out there has different habits that work for them. Every player eats pretty differently. So learn from other players' routines and learn from their training regimens and learn from their nutrition plans, but understand that you need to find what works for you. Tip number 19, learn to be a master of listening to your own body. Learn what the very early signs of a muscle strain feel like. Learn how many sets and reps of squats in the gym or the intensity of your workout will make you feel the next day. Learn what the difference is between true body fatigue and just mental laziness. Understand what little knocks or injuries need to be pushed through and what little knocks or injuries really need to be taken seriously.
This is so true. I have so many teammates in the past who they'll tell me secretly, hey man, X, Y, and Z is hurting on my body. And they won't take care of it. And they'll just keep pushing. They're like, maybe I'm overthinking it. And I'll be like, hey, if your knee hurts, like if you're doing a squat and you're feeling actual pain, you're not supposed to push that. You're supposed to let it rest. But they'll be like, man, I don't want to look like a little wuss. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, whenever you tear something, nobody cares. You won't be helping the team. You're going to be laying out away from us. So it's very important to understand your body. Even now in training, a lot of the times, if I feel like I'm pushing myself to the limit too much, I cut back. Because of my previous injuries, I recognize how these feelings feel like.
And rested and learn to have the humility or become smart enough to take off 1 or 2 days when you start to feel something serious so that it doesn't progress into having 6 months, 9 months, 12 months off of your career. And finally, tip number 20, you only have one shot at your career. So go ahead and research ankle sprain prevention exercises for 3 hours one day, or take a chance on that invite-only combine in Charlotte next weekend. Invest in that nutrition course, reach out to more agents and more coaches this weekend, ask for help for people, but never rely on one person. Wake up at 5 a.m. on the weekend and drive an hour to train with that group of pros. Take calculated risks and just don't quit. The worst thing you can do is look back on your career with regret. So anyway,
that's 100% facts right there. I'm not trying to look back and regret anything that I've done. That's why I'm always telling people like, man, I keep getting older, but I keep training. I'm working as an electrical engineer right now. I'm getting the money that I need to. If I need to go to any trial, I can go. If I need to get any hotel, book any cars, I have the funding now. So like, if anything, I'm more prepared now than ever before. But I keep training. And I don't know what path God's going to open for me, but I keep training because when God does, what can I say? What can I say?